The Etruscan civilization emerges from the misty hills and fertile valleys of central Italy during the 9th century BC, their origins shrouded in mystery and scholarly debate that continues to this day. Modern archaeological excavations in Tuscany, Lazio, and Umbria have revealed a sophisticated culture that would profoundly influence the development of Roman civilization and, through Rome, the entire Western world. The archaeological record of Villanovan culture, named after the site near Bologna where distinctive artifacts were first discovered, provides our earliest glimpse into Proto-Etruscan society. These settlements, characterized by their urn burials containing cremated remains placed in biconical vessels topped with bronze helmets, reveal communities that had mastered ironworking and maintained extensive trade networks across the Mediterranean. The transformation from Villanovan to distinctly Etruscan culture occurs gradually during the 8th century BC, marked by increasing wealth, artistic sophistication, and the adoption of alphabetic writing adapted from Greek colonists in southern Italy. The Etruscan alphabet, consisting of 26 letters derived from the Western Greek script, would eventually provide the foundation for the Latin alphabet we use today. The 7th century BC witnessed the emergence of powerful Etruscan city-states that would dominate central Italy for the next 4 centuries. These urban centers, including Caira, Tarquinia, Volsci, Veii, and Volaterrae, developed as independent political entities united by shared language, religion, and cultural practices while maintaining fierce rivalries and distinct local traditions. Archaeological evidence from this period reveals the extraordinary wealth accumulated by Etruscan elites through Mediterranean trade. The great tumulus tombs of Cerveteri, some exceeding 100 meters in diameter, contain burial chambers filled with gold jewelry, silver vessels, ivory artifacts, and imported Greek pottery that demonstrate the international scope of Etruscan commercial networks. The political organization of Etruscan city-states centered on powerful aristocratic families who controlled agricultural territories and commanded the loyalty of free farmers, craftsmen, and slaves. The institution of the lucimo, or king-priest, provided both temporal and spiritual leadership, with rulers deriving legitimacy from their ability to interpret divine will through elaborate religious ceremonies. Etruscan religious practices centered on the worship of a pantheon of deities including Tin, Uni, and Minerva, whose names would later be adopted by the Romans as Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. The Etruscan emphasis on divination through the examination of sacrificial animals' livers and the interpretation of lightning strikes created a sophisticated theological system that would profoundly influence Roman religious practices. The 6th century BC marked the zenith of Etruscan power and territorial expansion, as their influence extended from the Alps to Campania and across the Tyrrhenian Sea to Corsica and Sardinia. The Etruscan fleet, operating from ports like Perge and Caira, dominated Mediterranean shipping routes and established trading posts throughout the western Mediterranean. The conquest of territories in the Po Valley brought the Etruscans into contact with Celtic peoples and established prosperous cities like Felsina and Spina, which served as crucial links in trade networks connecting northern Europe with the Mediterranean world. Archaeological evidence from Spina reveals a cosmopolitan port city where Etruscan, Greek, and Celtic cultures merged to create vibrant commercial centers. Etruscan expansion southward into Campania led to the establishment of cities like Capua and Nola, bringing them into direct contact with Greek colonists who had settled along the southern Italian coast. This interaction with Greek civilization profoundly influenced Etruscan art, architecture, and intellectual development, while creating the conditions for eventual conflict over territorial control. The internal organization of Etruscan society during this period reveals increasing social stratification and the development of sophisticated governmental institutions. The confederation of 12 major Etruscan cities, meeting annually at the sanctuary of Voltumna near Volsinii, provided a framework for coordinating military campaigns and religious ceremonies while preserving the independence of individual city-states. The artistic achievements of Etruscan civilization represent some of the finest examples of ancient Mediterranean culture, combining indigenous traditions with influences absorbed from Greek, Phoenician, and Eastern civilizations. Etruscan bronze work, particularly the creation of large-scale sculptures and decorative objects, achieved technical sophistication that rivaled any contemporary civilization. The famous Chimera of Arezzo, discovered in 1553 and dating to the 4th century BC, exemplifies the extraordinary skill of Etruscan bronze workers in creating complex mythological subjects with anatomical precision and emotional intensity. The integration of Greek mythological themes with distinctly Etruscan artistic sensibilities created a unique aesthetic tradition that would influence Roman art for centuries. Etruscan tomb painting, preserved in burial chambers throughout central Italy, provides unparalleled insights into ancient daily life, religious beliefs, and social customs. The Tomb of the Leopards at Tarquinia, with its vivid depictions of banqueting scenes and musical performances, reveals a culture that celebrated life's pleasures while maintaining sophisticated concepts of afterlife existence. The architectural innovations developed by Etruscan builders profoundly influenced Roman construction techniques and urban planning. The Etruscan mastery of the arch, their development of the atrium-style house, and their sophisticated drainage systems provided technical foundations that would enable Roman architectural achievements. The great temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus on Rome's Capitoline Hill, built by Etruscan craftsmen, established architectural precedents for Roman religious buildings throughout the empire. The rise of Roman power during the 5th century BC created inevitable conflicts with Etruscan city-states, as both civilizations sought to control the fertile territories of central Italy. The Siege of Veii, lasting from 406 to 396 BC, represented the most significant of these early conflicts and demonstrated the growing military capabilities of the Roman Republic. The Etruscan city of Veii, located just 12 miles north of Rome, controlled strategic territories and trade routes that the expanding Roman state desperately needed. The decade-long siege required unprecedented Roman military commitment and marked their first successful conquest of a major Etruscan city. The capture of Veii doubled Roman territory and provided the precedent for future expansion into Etruscan lands. Archaeological evidence from the siege reveals the sophisticated defensive systems developed by Etruscan engineers, including elaborate tunnel networks and underground fortifications. The Roman victory, achieved partly through the construction of siege works that diverted the city's water supply, demonstrated their mastery of military engineering techniques learned from Etruscan and Greek examples. The Gallic sack of Rome in 390 BC temporarily disrupted Roman expansion and provided Etruscan cities with opportunities to recover lost territories. However, the rapid Roman recovery and their systematic campaigns against individual Etruscan cities during the 4th century BC gradually reduced Etruscan independence and incorporated their territories into the expanding Roman Confederation. The tradition preserved in Roman historical sources describes a period of Etruscan rule over Rome during the 6th century BC, when kings bearing distinctly Etruscan names governed the city and implemented major urban development projects. While the historical accuracy of specific details remains debated, archaeological evidence supports the general narrative of significant Etruscan influence on early Roman development. The construction projects attributed to Etruscan kings, including the Circus Maximus, the Cloaca Maxima drainage system, and the first stone walls around the city, represent engineering achievements that required sophisticated technical knowledge and organizational capabilities. These urban improvements transformed Rome from a collection of hilltop villages into a unified city capable of supporting substantial population growth. The political institutions established during this period, including the concept of royal authority balanced by aristocratic councils and popular assemblies, provided foundations for the later Roman Republic. The Etruscan emphasis on religious legitimacy for political authority influenced Roman concepts of imperium and the relationship between temporal and spiritual power. The expulsion of the last Etruscan king, traditionally dated to 509 BC, marked the beginning of the Roman Republic but did not end Etruscan influence on Roman civilization. Many of the governmental, religious, and cultural practices established during the period of Etruscan rule continued to shape Roman development throughout the Republican and Imperial periods. The 3rd century BC witnessed the gradual incorporation of remaining independent Etruscan cities into the Roman Confederation through a combination of military conquest and diplomatic negotiation. The Roman strategy of granting citizenship to conquered populations while allowing local autonomy in internal affairs proved effective in securing Etruscan loyalty and preventing coordinated resistance. The Etruscan response to Roman expansion varied significantly among different cities and social classes. While aristocratic families often negotiated favorable terms for integration into Roman society, maintaining their wealth and local influence, common populations sometimes resisted Romanization and preservation of traditional cultural practices. The Social War of 91 to 88 BC, in which Italian allies demanded full Roman citizenship, included significant Etruscan participation and marked the final integration of Etruscan territories into the Roman state. The granting of citizenship to all free inhabitants of the peninsula eliminated the legal distinctions that had preserved Etruscan cultural autonomy. Archaeological evidence from the 1st century BC reveals the gradual disappearance of distinctly Etruscan cultural practices as Roman customs, language, and religious observances replaced traditional Etruscan institutions. The adoption of Latin as the primary language of public life and the conversion to Roman religious practices marked the end of Etruscan civilization as a distinct cultural entity. The legacy of Etruscan civilization extends far beyond their political independence to encompass fundamental contributions to Roman and, through Rome, European development. The governmental institutions developed by Etruscan city-states provided models for republican governance that influenced Roman political development, and ultimately, modern democratic institutions. The Etruscan contribution to Roman religion proved particularly enduring, with many Roman deities, religious ceremonies, and practices of divination derived directly from Etruscan traditions. The Roman practice of consulting haruspices, priests who interpreted omens through examination of sacrificial animals, continued throughout the imperial period and preserved Etruscan religious knowledge for centuries after their political absorption. Etruscan artistic and architectural achievements profoundly influenced Roman cultural development and established aesthetic traditions that would shape European art for millennia. The integration of Greek artistic influences with indigenous Italian traditions created distinctive styles that Roman artists would later adapt and disseminate throughout their empire. The technological innovations developed by Etruscan craftsmen and engineers provided foundations for Roman achievements in metallurgy, architecture, and urban planning. The Etruscan mastery of bronze working, their development of advanced architectural techniques, and their sophisticated understanding of hydraulic engineering contributed directly to Roman technological superiority. Modern archaeological research has revolutionized our understanding of Etruscan civilization and corrected many misconceptions perpetuated by Roman historical sources. The systematic excavation of Etruscan sites during the 19th and 20th centuries revealed the true extent of their achievements and their crucial role in ancient Italian development. The discovery of elaborate tomb complexes like those at Cerveteri and Tarquinia provided unprecedented insights into Etruscan daily life, social organization, and religious beliefs. The preservation of organic materials in Etruscan tombs, including textiles, wooden objects, and food remains, offers detailed information about ancient material culture rarely available from other civilizations. Recent advances in linguistic analysis have improved our understanding of the Etruscan language. Though approximately 13,000 inscriptions in Etruscan survive, the language remains partially understood due to its non-Indo-European origins. The ongoing decipherment of longer Etruscan texts continues to provide new insights into their literature, law, and religious practices. The application of new archaeological techniques, including ground-penetrating radar and satellite imagery, continues to reveal previously unknown Etruscan sites and settlements. These discoveries demonstrate the extensive nature of Etruscan civilization and their sophisticated approaches to urban planning and territorial organization. The transformation of Etruscan city-states from independent political entities to Roman municipalities occurred gradually over several centuries, but the process accelerated dramatically during the 1st century BC as Roman political and cultural institutions displaced traditional Etruscan practices. The last vestige of Etruscan political independence disappeared with the administrative reforms of Augustus, who reorganized Italy into regions that ignored traditional Etruscan territorial boundaries. The incorporation of Etruscan territories into Regio 7 eliminated the legal framework that had preserved local autonomy and completed the process of Romanization. The survival of Etruscan cultural practices varied significantly in different regions, with rural areas maintaining traditional customs long after urban centers had adopted Roman ways. Archaeological evidence reveals the persistence of Etruscan burial practices, religious observances, and artistic traditions well into the imperial period, particularly in areas distant from major Roman administrative centers. The final extinction of Etruscan language occurred gradually as Latin became the medium of education, commerce, and public life. By the 1st century CE, Etruscan survived only as a scholarly curiosity studied by Roman antiquarians interested in preserving knowledge of Italy's pre-Roman heritage. The history of the Etruscans represents one of the most remarkable civilizational achievements of the ancient world, demonstrating how a sophisticated culture could emerge from relatively modest beginnings to profoundly influence the development of Western civilization. Their ability to synthesize influences from Greek, Phoenician, and Eastern civilizations while maintaining distinctive cultural identity created innovations that would survive long after their political independence ended. The Etruscan experience provides insights into the complex processes of cultural interaction and political development that characterize the ancient Mediterranean world. Their success in creating prosperous urban centers, sophisticated artistic traditions, and effective governmental institutions while maintaining extensive international trade networks demonstrates the possibilities available to ancient civilizations that could adapt to changing circumstances while preserving cultural continuity. The ultimate absorption of Etruscan civilization into the Roman world represents not destruction but transformation, as Etruscan achievements became integral elements of Roman culture, and through Rome, influenced the entire Western tradition. The legal concepts, religious practices, artistic styles, and technological innovations developed by the Etruscans continued to shape European development long after their kingdoms had disappeared from the political landscape. As we trace the rise and decline of Etruscan civilization across these centuries, we witness both the achievements possible through cultural sophistication and international cooperation, and the inevitable challenges faced by smaller political entities when confronted by expanding imperial powers. The Etruscan legacy reminds us that historical influence extends far beyond political boundaries and that cultural achievements can endure long after the societies that created them have vanished into the mists of time. In the quiet hills of Tuscany, where Etruscan cities once flourished and their armies once marched, the archaeological remains of this remarkable civilization continue to yield secrets about our shared human past. Their story, preserved in tombs and temples, inscriptions and artifacts, offers a window into a world where art and religion, politics and trade, war and peace combine to create one of antiquity's most fascinating cultures. The Etruscans may have lost their political independence, but their contributions to human civilization ensure their immortality in the continuing story of Western development.